Hi, this is Into the Michaelverse, and consider this your spoiler warning for every Marvel property and every multiverse for all time, forever, infinity. So in this episode, we're introduced to the concept of the Flag Smashers. And that's not just a concept, that's actually what they call themselves. So no, Hayward, no funny nicknames, just stupid ones.
Is that a new thing? Bad guys give themselves bad names?
Sam agrees with me. In the comics, Flag Smasher is just the one guy named Carl Morgenthau, while on the show, this character is named Carly Morgenthau, who's part of a group of Flag Smashers. The comic book and male version of Carl Morgenthau grew up traveling all around the world with his father, who got independently wealthy by being a banker, then used that extra FU money to campaign for world peace as a low-wage public servant. Carl's dad moving his family from country to country all the time made Carl's life a living hell, because I guess teens can be horrible wherever you go. He became an introvert, but also a kick-ass fighter, which of course is every introvert's lifelong fantasy, and I speak from experience. Then after his dad gets trampled in a riot just outside of the Latvian embassy, Carl dedicates his life and his inheritance to becoming the Flag Smasher, a guy that hates flags, because flags represent nations, and Carl saw nations as obstacles to unity and world peace, and to help promote unity and world peace, Carl became a terrorist. He'd just show up to places and be like, I'm here to promote unity and world peace, and then he'd hit people with his mace. And he'd rarely miss a chance to go after those flags, because he really had it in for those flags. In fact, in his very first appearance way back in Captain America 348, Flag Smasher lays siege to the Acme Flag Factory in New York. Carl eventually joins a group called Ultimatum, which stands for Underground Liberated Totally Integrated Mobile Army to Unite Mankind, to which I say, fuck off. Your name doesn't have to be an acronym. I doubt we'll see anything that stupid in the MCU. We've already got Flag Smashers.
There's a lot worse names than that one.
Or maybe we will. We meet a guy named Joaquin Torres who tells Sam that the MCU version of the Flag Smashers thought that the world was a better place during the blip years, so maybe they agree with Thanos a bit. Torres then tells Sam,
Essentially, these people, they want a world that's unified without borders.
which I took to mean that the blip most likely forced world governments to drop their petty grievances and unify, and that's what they liked about the blip years. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, you've got military guys like Torres, or Tyler Hayward for that matter, who were traumatized by what happened during the blip years. So the show depicts the movement as pretty popular, and even Sam kind of supports their argument when he says,
Trust me, every time something gets better for one group, it gets worse for another.
Torres notes the similarity between Sam and the Flag Smashers' worldview as he says,
So you can see why a lot of people are into that.
the first time we meet the Flag Smashers on the show, they're robbing a bank. And whereas in the comics, the Flag Smasher was just a regular dude who could fight and had a lot of money, these Flag Smashers are like super serum level strong. They show off their strength by jumping off a tallish building and not going with the superhero landing, and later one of them kicks a cop into oblivion and then ragdolls Torres. So we're yet to learn how these guys got so strong. But I was thinking Zemo was on this show, so he might have had some access to the super soldier serum. He set that whole thing up in the Arctic, before he executed all of those Winter Soldiers in their sleep. Then again, he didn't look like a guy with a lot of plans after the events he set up in Civil War, so maybe not. But who knows? Maybe he just wanted to make it look like he was going to kill himself. The end credits gives us a big clue as to where they may have acquired their superpowers as the name Power Broker pops up. In the comics, the Power Broker is a business entity that sold superpowers to people in exchange for like 70% of what they earned with their superpowers. Half the customers, however, either died or ended up severely deformed, but they had a good PR team, so not a lot of people found out about that. The Power Broker in the comics was more connected to a character by the name of John Walker, of whose MCU counterpart we're rudely introduced to later on in this episode. Maybe the Power Broker is responsible for both John Walker and the Flag Smashers getting super strong on the show. And maybe he's powering up the bad guys to give the good guys something to do, which might net him a high-priced government contract or two. Or maybe they're mutants. It's been reported that we'll see the fictional city of Madripoor later on this season, and that city's connected to Wolverine, who's a mutant. Or maybe they're Skrulls. We got a good look into how much stronger Skrulls are compared to humans in the movie Captain Marvel. I definitely don't think they're Mephisto. I'm really interested in seeing how Sam reacts when confronted by folks who believe in the same things he does but just happen to be playing for the other team, and how the racial angle the showrunners introduced in this episode is going to play into all this. Another clue we got in the show's ending credits points to where the show might be going in that vein. We see the words Urge Log, which might read Research Log, and peeking behind the paper is actor Carl Lumley, who could possibly be showing up later as Isaiah Bradley, who back in World War II was one of 300 African American men who were forcibly administered the super soldier serum, and one of the few that survived the process as he became Marvel's first black Captain America. The government sent him on a suicide mission to kill a German doctor, so Isaiah decided to take the Captain America outfit and shield with him. He ends up both completing and surviving the mission, but got court-martialed for his troubles and sentenced to life in prison for stealing the outfit and shield. It was a pretty ballsy take on the Captain America legacy that debuted in 2003's Truth, Red, White, and Black, which was written by Robert Morales, and I can't wait for the show to dig into it. The scene of the Flag Smasher stealing from the bank is followed by a scene where Sam's at a bank but trying to get money out of it the right way. But a lot of good that does him, as we see foresee a bank deny him the financing he needs to save his family's fishing boat. And maybe he needs this money because the government isn't paying him for these missions. Sam was on the wrong side of the law for a couple of years, and these Falcon missions might be part of the terms of his, parole or something. Plus, those wings are technically government property, kind of like Cap's shield, and Cap's shield, they sure did Sam dirty on that one, didn't they? That shield doesn't belong with that guy.
That belongs in a museum!
Although, let's be honest, this kinda took the sting out of it, didn't it? I'm just saying, he didn't have to look that goofy. It's a shame we have to see Sam going through this, after all he's done for the universe. I foresee a beckoning to the dark side in Sam's future. That being said, I hope the show explores what keeps good men like Sam on the straight and narrow even when faced with dire economic circumstances. And again, I can't wait to see how the African American experience is weaved into all of this. This series feels like it's going to be a bit of a deeper ride than past Marvel Studios vehicles. And then there's this guy. How is Baron Zemo going to fit into all of this? That's all I have time for this week, and until next episode, into the Michael-verse. Out!